Greetings, beloved ones, and welcome to Satsang. We don't often ask ourselves the fundamental question of what is spirituality. We're just doing it or trying to do it without asking what it is or where to find it. So let me speak about some of the fundamentals about where to find it. In the beginning of a spiritual path, one looks for spirituality as out there, someplace, in a book, in a speaker, in a teacher, in a sign from the universe, in an event, in a magical occurrence, in a healing. We look for something out there that will show us or prove to us what spirituality is. And that's all good. We need to feel a foundation of reality, and all those ways are ways of building it. But as we move further along a path, any path, it comes to be known to us that spirituality is inside, experientially, and is not dependent on an event happening. It's inside, based on the principle of relationship. What is our relationship to whatever is happening in that moment? That's what spirituality is in its location. What is our relationship to what we are doing, to what we are saying, to what we are suffering with, to what we are feeling, all of that. So, for example, when you wake up in the morning, we have our morning rituals, all of us do. What is the first thing or the second thing you think of? You have your way of waking up from sleep. But as you're waking up and when you get to be awake, what is the first, second, or even third thing that you think of? Is it the awareness of the divine within you? Or the divine within the day? Or maybe it's an awareness of your back being in pain? Or your heart being in pain? Or some part of you that you wish was feeling better? Maybe. The presence of relationship doesn't depend on whether you are in pain or not in pain. It doesn't depend on that. And it doesn't depend on whether an event is happening or it's not happening and you're just lying in bed waking up from sleep. It depends on whether you think you are in relationship with the divine in you, around you, with you, everywhere. And that is the fundamental aspect of what spirituality is. It's your experience of relationship which moves towards an experience of unity with the divine, where you don't have to think about anything because it's always present in your consciousness. I am that. I am that. I am the divine. I am the divine within me. So you don't have to think a thought about it. But we think, because of our history of separation, that certain conditions have to be present in order for us to feel spiritual. Maybe we have to feel exuberant or uplifted or ecstatic. And it's not like that. Because the presence of the divine claims to be everywhere and every when. Not because something is happening that's making you feel good. Of course, you want to feel good. That's part of having a body. But whether you do or you don't, the relationship is present, and the question is, what do you do with it? If you wake up in the morning and you're in pain, or your back is in pain, or your leg feels out of sorts, or something doesn't feel right, or your heart feels out of sorts, what do you do with that? The sensation is there. And you, of course, have an option. You can exist in relationship with the pain, or you can exist in relationship with the divine in your pain, where the pain becomes some place in you, a service to life, a service to the divine. That doesn't mean that you have to know what it is serving. It doesn't mean that you have to have an explanation on the mental level about why a particular form of suffering is existing. You don't. That's your mind wanting to have proof. But I said, the mind wants proof as the reality of the divine is beginning. But then you don't look for proof, you look for experience. And when you look for experience, you have to see, am I in relationship with the divine? Or am I forgetting that there is a relationship? Or do I think it doesn't exist? So you have to examine the premises you're holding. I am spiritual when I'm happy and everything's going well. Is that a premise? I am spiritual when I feel something that's out of the ordinary is happening and I have a sign from the universe that something beyond the human is acting. Is that a premise? For some people it is. For some people signs are very important as a stage in spiritual development. But for many, it becomes a question of how you hold your own experience and whether there's enough of a sense of reality in you so that you can offer and become the relationship of your pain to the divine. Not because you know what it is, but because you feel sure that there is an underlying reality about your experience that's upheld always in every moment by divine purpose, by divine meaning, by divine goodness. Trust is easy. We know this when things are going well. When things are not going well and you wake up and you have a pain in your back, you're stiff, whatever you wished was healed the day before is still there, then what do? Well, I'm presenting you with an option here. Then you make it about your relationship with the divine. Then you try to see whether the premise you're operating with is you are no longer a spiritual being because this pain shouldn't be happening, or you are held by the divine as a spiritual being because that too is part of your divinity expressing as life moves forward. You don't know how, why it is expressing that way, but it's held in that context. That is your divine being coming through the human, bringing your life forward as life moves forward. So then, that may be the second thought. It may be the first thought is the pain in your back or your leg or your heart or your head. The second thought is, I give this in trust to the divine. I give it in trust to hold with me as a purposeful, meaningful part of my expression. I place all my trust in that. And then the rest of your day is shaped by that giving of yourself, by that trust, by that unification of all of your experience. You see, because in just that one moment of waking up, you're defining what spirituality is. You're saying, not spirituality is when I'm feeling better, but it is happening now. I am involved with the divine now. And so if you believe that when you're waking up, then you have that the rest of the day, no matter what happens. And when you have that the rest of the day, then you're not preoccupied with your pain, you're preoccupied with your relationship with the divine. That becomes the center. And you begin to be able to get past the experience of pain because you're not so much interested in it. It's not fascinating. It's not completely engaging. You're looking around and saying, well, if the divine is in everything, then what am I doing in this moment? Where is it now? How could I be perceiving it now? And you begin to look and to listen. To look and to listen at the things that are ordinary that are happening in your life. And say inside, what is my relationship with the divine? Where is it now? Your pain doesn't have to go away in order for this to happen, but the intensity of the focus on pain is often because we think it shouldn't be there, and we want it to go away, and it should go away, with a lot of shoulds on top of shoulds. But when you stop looking at it that way, you start being a little bit freer, and so that lessens whatever pain that you're in. And you start looking at what else is happening in my perceptual field that is my relationship with the divine. If you are fortunate and have loving relationships with others, or even one or two others, or even one other, then you begin to look at that relationship as divine gift. And you think, what is this gift that I'm being given? What is happening right now that I could be receiving as a divine gift? Because you've opened your heart. You've opened your heart to welcome all experience as part of your spirituality. And when you do that, your inner being stops resenting what's happening and complaining about it and judging it and feeling it shouldn't be happening. And you start enjoying what you're being given. Now, some would say that this is counterintuitive. Why should I be enjoying my pain? And in a certain sense, this is true. The human body is made in such a way that we want pain to stop. That's foundational. To feel better, to feel more whole. But the heart is not made that way. The heart is made to be able to embrace everything with love, everything with acceptance, everything with joy, joyful acceptance. I don't mean happy joy, I mean joyful acceptance based on love. So the heart is made to be able to accept all of experience as divinely given. But we resist that. And so we don't embrace spirituality during the day when we are talking with someone, and we stop thinking about our own, whatever it is, limitations, misery, things that have gone wrong, things that are unhealed, difficult conversations from the past, our childhood, whatever it is. Most people have a whole baggage, a whole suitcase of things they're carrying around, of things that don't feel quite right. Okay, that's in the process of healing. That too is the divine experience through the human. What else is happening? What is this person bringing to me now so that I can feel the relationship with the divine in it? When you start looking at things like that, you start hearing magic or seeing magic or feeling magic, because the soul of all things is always present. The soul is always present. The soul is present in every human being. The soul is present in every living being. But if you are focused internally on what's wrong with you, you can't get to see that. You can only get to see whatever is particularly bothering you on that day. If you're not focused on that, then you begin to look for the soul in all things, and you can hear it and see it more because it's always there. You look at somebody perhaps who's living with you, or you know, or you are having a conversation with on your cell phone, you hear their voice. There's the surface level of interaction that we often take for granted. The habitual patterns of how they act and how I react, and how they react to how I react, and how I react to how they react to how I react. All of that. It's an ingrained pattern. It's a karmic dance, the pattern of reaction to reaction. But if you were to stop doing that and to look for the soul, you would listen with different senses. You wouldn't be listening to the words that somebody says. You would be listening to the sound beneath the words. Or you would be looking at them and seeing your beloved. Your beloved. Because you can see a beloved in everyone. When you relate to the soul level, you can see a beloved in everyone, including someone who's angry with you, including someone who's critical of you, including someone who is, let's say, creating a resonance with difficulties you've had in the past. That too. That person also. That person has a soul. That soul can be seen. And then your day becomes different. Then your day becomes interesting. What could possibly happen that I could see or feel today with somebody that just passes by? I'm shopping. Somebody's there in front of me online. Who are they? Why are they in front of me online? I know that seems like a silly thing to ask, but if you assume that the divine is in everything and in every moment, then you have a relationship with that person as well. But you certainly have a relationship with the activities during your day. And you can't perceive that relationship of the divine if your focus is on what's wrong with you, or what's wrong with your pain, or why is this happening, or why it shouldn't be happening. There are many of you, beloveds, and this is such a good thing, who do have a spiritual practice in the morning. Many of you get up and meditate for a while, or do something else, or light a candle, and that's good. It is the refresher of the day that you are in relationship with the divine, even if it's just a moment of lighting a candle. But sometimes you light the candle, then you go out of the room and you brush your teeth and you get dressed, and pretty soon that candle is just background. It's no longer real. It's no longer with you in your conscious mind. So this is about relationship, about bringing it into the foreground, and it starts with the beginning of the day, and it starts with how you look at your own discomfort, starting from 0 hour when you wake up. How do you look at that, and can you make that an offering to the divine? Can you make that an offering in the sense, I give you my trust. I give you my trust without knowing that this is part of my life to be embraced, to be learned from, to be accepted, to be worked with, to be happy about, that this is given to me. That's what I mean by offering. The offering is the offering of trust. It's the offering of yourself. And when you can do that, to the extent that you can do that, joy comes into your life. Because if pain is no longer something you're having a fight with, if you're no longer in protest against your own pain, why not be joyful? There's nothing in the way, because all of experience is your spirituality. We are, as a species, on the way to understanding spirituality in this way, as all, God as all. We are on the way and we're not there. But those of us who have more responsibility that we've taken for being conscious of choices can look at our choices during the day, what we resent, what we're in protest against, and what we accept as part of the divine. We can look at our choices. And all of humanity is on the way towards perceiving the divine as real experientially in everything. We are not there yet, but we are on the way. And so, beloved ones, you, as you wake up in the morning, can take part in shaping the way for yourself and for other beings, because what you do in the morning when you get up and you decide, I'm not going to be resentful, but I'm going to be open to the divine as my spirituality in life, what you do when you make that decision affects everybody around you. It goes out as an energy, because it's an energy that counteracts the prevailing assumption of separateness. Your energy of making an offering of yourself counteracts the prevailing energy of we're each alone in our own cubicles, and we just have to do the best we can. When you make of yourself an offering, it becomes a gift to everybody else, as well as to yourself. So I encourage you to see if that's possible for you, to transform your pain and your experience, not just with pain, but all of your experience, into a relationship with the divine, and to understand that that is spirituality as it's meant to be. Om Namo Bhagavate, Om Namo Namaha. I bow to the Supreme Being that lives within all. Namaskar.